In a world filled with millions of companies and brands, it's hard for any particular brand to stick out too much. It is harder still to be a dominant company, a market leader ahead of hundreds of other companies that may be eyeing for your title for the best. Well, the company in question today went beyond such goals. Skype rose to an elite level status with the company name, Skype being coined to mean the action of calling itself. In the years of following its launch, nobody said, "I want to video call you." No, it was always, "I'll Skype you." That's just how much of a juggernaut Skype had become. It didn't just enjoy the majority of the market, it enjoyed market dominance. In modern history, very few companies have since reached that level of popularity. A crowning moment came in 2014 when the Oxford English Dictionary added the verb Skype, acknowledging its standard bearer status. The questions arise, how did Skype manage to get that big? What did they bring to the table that they wanted so much? And maybe most importantly, where are they now? Let us answer these questions and more in a deep dive into the classical brand that is Skype. If you don't want your business knowledge to take a hit like Skype's business, please be sure to hit that like button. It doesn't cost you anything and helps the video out a lot. Skype was founded by Janis Friis and Nicholas Zenstrom, along with a team of Estonian developers in August 2003. This was the team's follow-up project after having launched Kazaa years earlier. Skype was built up as a peer-to-peer calling system which translated voice to data and transmitted it over the internet. This was a very similar concept to what had been done with the music file sharing aspects of Kazaa. In actuality, Skype stands for Sky Peer-to-Peer, which was later shortened to Skyper, which then became Skype. In an era where internet use was just growing in popularity, Skype came at quite an opportune moment. The goal was to democratize global communication by making voice calls accessible and cheap. The original version, whose logo was as purple as opposed to the blue that is now so popular, was only from PC to PC. Once users registered on Skype, they could talk freely, and this concept grew in popularity. Other services came later that allowed Skype users to call landlines and mobile users from Skype and vice versa. This was dubbed Skype Out and Skype In. At this time, this was unheard of, so Skype came to the market as a pioneer, a bold-faced leader that educated the masses on the benefits of voice and video calls, expanding the limits of what people thought possible. And as a major appeal, the core of Skype's business was still free, so it was very easy for users to get on board with the company and enjoy talking to their family, while inadvertently marketing the company brand to everyone they talked to. The rise of Skype was about to begin. As we get into a period when Skype started rising to levels of incredible growth, why don't you rise to a great level of enlightenment by surrounding yourself with content from this channel, thereby ensuring an increase in your knowledge? Unlike Skype, you don't need to launch a company. Just like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications so that you never miss out on any of our financial content. In the period that followed, the use of Skype soared, possibly even more rapidly than the founders had expected. The peer-to-peer aspect of Skype meant that growth could be welcomed without an excessive increase in costs. 2004 saw them release an audio conference feature that allowed more than the original two participants to be in a call. With this, Skype soared in popularity, registering over 100,000 active users on the platform. But this was just the beginning of what was to be a success story for the ages. In 2005, Skype released Beta 2.0 version and saw their active user base 10 times from 100,000, just over 1 million in a space of a year. Skype was on a roll, and they knew it. This rapid success started to attract external attention. At the head of this pack was eBay. eBay was constantly looking for ways to improve on the core of their operations, so they figured that by buying Skype, they could bridge the distance between the buyers and the sellers on their platforms. The visions facilitated communication to improve efficiency of eBay operations. Hyped off of this dream, eBay purchased Skype for $2.6 billion. This was a mega transaction given the relative age of the company, but the potential it had was mind-blowing, and they bet on it. It was only after in-field testing that eBay realized that the open voice calling nature of Skype contrasted with the anonymous email nature that their clients preferred. Soon this realization turned to disappointment as eBay announced that they had overvalued Skype. The company direction of Skype was shifted to emphasize sociability. This saw the birth of several iterations that were centered on improving Skype. Features like Skypecast quickly came out. In 2006, the The brand also introduced video calls, which added an in-depth layer to Skype. Now people could talk and see each other at no cost. This was bound to increase the value of the firm, and it did exactly that. By April of the same year, the number of active users had reached 100 million. Skype was undoubtedly still growing. Throughout this growth process, however, tensions were brewing between Skype management and eBay. This had been the wrong partnership, and eBay was losing millions of dollars every year just to keep this disenfranchised dream running. In 2009, eBay sold a 65% stake in Skype to an investor group for $1.9 billion, thus valuing the company at $2.75 billion. By now, Skype had released version 4.1 that allowed for screen sharing and had 720p HD video support. Its active user base had jumped to 530 million users, a 5 times growth within the space of 3 years, and as the company was growing, so too was the interest in it from big shot firms. This led to the third phase of Skype's ownership, where in May 2011 Microsoft bought the entirety of the company for $8.6 billion. Despite the many reservations about this deal, Skype recorded a career high of 663 million users on the platform, showing its ability to generate business. Skype's version 5.3 was already making waves with its favored Facebook integration and offered group video calls. There was a mobile device support now, and Microsoft went on leaning heavily into the development of Skype and integration of it with their existing services. Its Windows Messenger service was eventually absorbed into Skype, with its users moved there. And by 2015, Microsoft launched Skype for Business, essentially creating a secondary division. This service has been phased out now by being replaced by Microsoft Teams, a service requiring its analysis at another time. Skype has grown over the years to great heights and has created a legacy brand among its users. Despite the oh-so-regular challenges that any company faces, Skype has been for the most part a forward-looking brand with its potential yet to be fully milked. In 2021, it boasted over 1.8 billion users, a huge jump from its 2003 100,000 client days. Skype is without a doubt the premier video voice messaging platform. It's this author's opinion that Skype never really fell off, more like it aged in a market that required a youth-like enthusiasm to keep it up. There are a few things that may be attributed to Skype's less than glamorous position in the market now. Let's review a few of them. In 2003, when Skype bursted onto the scene, it was the only one of its kind. It came off as a fresh offering, displaying features that were foreign to the market at the point in time. By when you fast forward the timeline to almost 2 decades later, it becomes painfully obvious that the landscape has changed. Gone are the days of complete market domination. Now, Skype has to fight tooth and nail in a saturated market. With alternatives that range from Viber, WhatsApp, FaceTime, Zoom, and you name it, Skype has had to fight in ways it never had to before. All this wasn't helped by the fact that Microsoft seemed to lack a core strategy for Skype, and as such, the brand seemed all over the place. As a result, there has been a heavy dilution of its market share in the comparison to previous years. Skype has paved the way for them all, and now that pathway is clogged with competition, seemingly offering better services. Because Skype has gone through so many phases and has switched hands a few times, its core focus and its interface have followed suit. One might say Skype lacks a core identity. These rapid changes in user interface have broken the pattern of consistency that users prefer and given more of a new app feel every so often. One might go as far to say it lacks coherence. Also, Skype has been put under fire for bugs and spam, and the lack of reliability and the bloated nature of the apps has been less appealing to users, forcing a learning curve where none was needed. From the looks of things, it seems like it's failing at the basics of what any video voice application is required to do. This particular competitor perhaps deserves its crown because more than anything else on this list, Zoom has done more to erode Skype in the minds of its faithfuls. Zoom is a video conference app geared more towards business usage. It was founded in 2011 by Eric Yuan and launched in January 2013. It saw tremendous growth, registering over 400,000 users within its first month. This number would increase in the millions as time went on, and Yuan, a veteran in the space, had initially started work on Zoom in 2011, and despite the crowded nature of the market, was intent on creating a superior product to what was already in existence. This single focus and purpose made Zoom popular when it came to the market. To pull all this in a few words, Zoom more than anything else focused on the user experience. When compared to Skype, Zoom proved to be easier to use, easier to access, and simply more reliable. Unlike Skype that needed a whole process of signing up and creating an account to use it, Zoom required no account. For every non-technical person, Zoom was it, the living successor that seemed to solve all of Skype's now recurring problems. It offered many simple features that enhanced the experience for users, such as a beautification feature that evened user skin tones, a custom background feature that could mask where you were, and an ability to split call attendees into smaller discussion groups. All this came at a time when Microsoft was overly complicating Skype so much that it was easy for users to jump ship and leave for the upstart youngster. 2020, when the coronavirus hit and lockdowns were implemented, is when Zoom truly hit its stride. Now, unfortunately, it was in that same period that many say Skype conceded its crown. Throughout 2020 and 2021, Zoom leaped to over 350 million daily participants, and the company rose in value as well, reaching over $100 billion in market cap. Skype was gone, and Zoom began its new reign. Long live the new king. Now, Skype remains in several of Microsoft's future projects. It remains a legacy, but in the new market it seems like a relic of another time. However, a constantly changing landscape, it would be unwise to rule it out as many brands have proved before. After all, every app is always one update away from its next ascent or demise.